Greetings. This video will explain air poker, one of the most complex game in Usogui. Our story unfurls as Lalo Vincent, no longer capable of winning the ban match due to his premature ascension to Kaiser, set the wheels in motion for a fascinating predicament. He cleverly manipulated the conditions, leading to a deadlock between himself and Madarame Baku. The endgame? Neither could win. Lalo held two crucial player vests, those of Arata and Ryusei. The stakes amplified when Ryusei witnessed his friend's brutal demise, driving him to threaten his own vest's destruction if Baku did not accept the challenge from Lalo to end it all. Lalo's plan? Reprogramming the game's system amid the chaos to regain his eligibility as Kaiser. Winning air poker could secure his place in the game, surpassing the leader. If Baku didn't accept the match, Lalo would be purged by Kakeru, and Baku, since he doesn't have the necessary game's vest, could not win the ban and not play surpassing the leader. Developed by referees Shion Nawa and Takumi Manabe, air poker follows a multi-tiered rule system. Players initially grasp the explicit rules, but over time, they must deduce hidden rules based on limited information. Our analysis is retrospective, exploring every reveal from the unfolding chapters. Our game stars Madarame Baku and Vincent Lalo. Later, we discover two hidden participants, Hal and Fukuru, engaged in a game on the floor above Baku. Here's how it works. Baku and Vincent are confined to their chairs. Leaving it for 10 seconds results in a loss. Once defeated, the victor gains a key to liberate themselves from the water tank. Each player starts with 25 bios of pressurized air, used for breathing and bedding. Each bios provides approximately 5 minutes of breathable air. The gameplay is centered around metal cards, each embossed with a number. The mystery? The number's significance and hierarchy. Only as the game unfolds do we, the readers, discover that they represent poker hand sums. Furthermore, once a card is used in a poker hand, it cannot be used again in the next rounds, which lends the card number variable values. We call this the law. According to the law, once a deck card contributes to a poker hand, it's rendered obsolete for the subsequent rounds. This rule, in effect, infuses an element of dynamism into the card numbers, causing their values to oscillate based on the cards already in play. To illustrate, consider the number 15. Initially, it may represent a straight flush from ace to 5. However, the plot thickens when a player decides to play a 4-of-a-kind of aces in an earlier round, signified by, for example, a metallic card number 8, the sum of 4 aces and a poker card 4. This move exhausts the aces required to form the straight flush associated with the number 15. Consequently, the number 15 ceases to represent the straight flush, transforming instead to embody another viable poker hand that the remaining cards in the deck permit. Which viable poker hand is chosen depends on the game occurring in the upper floor. Hal and Fukuru receive the chosen card number from the lower floor, after which they construct a corresponding poker hand. Failure to match the sum or using a card already used in earlier rounds results in a lost round. However, when Hal and Fukuru play the same cards simultaneously, a calamity ensues. The loser in the lower floor must sacrifice an equal number of bios to the bet, diminishing their air supply. If both upper floor players blunder, they receive an extra 100 seconds to craft a new hand, thereby circumventing a stalemate. While the downstairs game dances on the razor's edge of life and death, the upper floor combatants face no mortal danger, courtesy of a chilling device known as witch pain. It simulates intense physical suffering without causing actual bodily harm, making the pain vividly real. This is because Hal, who is the leader of Kakeru, needs to be alive to play surpassing the leader against the winner of air poker. Now that the rules are explained, let's review the game and the strategies used by the players. As the game commences, with the water yet to fill the tank to the brim, Lalo makes a move. He rises, drawing in a deep breath to conserve the precious air in his bios until the water fills the tank completely. A countdown initiates, but he takes his seat before it concludes. Consequently, Lalo finds himself with a greater oxygen reserve than his opponent, Baku. In later chapters, a revelation comes to light. While Lalo was standing, Baku had tampered with his bio's pressure regulator by shattering the glass, allowing him to shift the needle to 0 when he wishes, to create the illusion of an empty bios. In this opening round, Baku selects the card 36, while Lalo opts for 15. A bet of 8 bios is placed by both sides. Meanwhile, Hal chooses a 4 of a kind of 8, and Fukuru decides on a straight flush from ace to 5. As a result, the first round goes in Lalo's favor. Kaji observes and highlights a strategic safe zone, a situation where a player has a surplus of bios compared to their adversary. This allows them to always fold the subsequent round's post-ante payment, yet retain a larger amount of air bios, thereby securing a higher chance of survival in an endurance battle. However, Lalo has not yet found his way into this safe zone. In the second round, Baku opts for card number 39, while Lalo selects number 8. At this juncture, Kaji deliberately places a hand inside the tank. This act unveils the law's comprehension to Baku, understanding that the hand of Kaji is the information that the numbers are poker hands, albeit his unawareness of the upper floor still remains. Prompted by this newfound understanding, Baku makes a daring move. He wagers all his bios. Consequently, he finds himself gasping for breath in the ensuing moments. Meanwhile, Lalo takes its time over his next move, so as Baku suffered these moments without any air. Fukuru utilizes the number 8 to form a full house, while Hal used the number 39 to construct a 4 of a kind. Baku wins, but could not grab the air bios in time. He teeters on the brink of drowning, only to regain his consciousness just as the countdown concludes and finally take the air bios to breath. The air bios now stand at 29 for Baku and a paltry 16 for Lalo. Since Fukuru lost, he experienced death by burning. This event marks a pivotal shift in the situation on the upper floor. Having both experienced the harrowing witch pain, the players now harbor a profound fear of encountering it for a second time. As the third round commences, Baku is seen expending a significant amount of air as he intensely contemplates his strategy. Now aware of the law and faced with the challenge of forming a poker hand without the 20 cards used in the preceding rounds, he's under pressure. In a strategic move, Baku unveils the law to Lalo, casting him into a deep chasm of thought and making him exhaust his oxygen supply at a comparable rate. Baku must secure victory in this round to enter the coveted safe zone, a fact not lost on Lalo. Lalo hypothesizes that Baku's revelation of the law was a ruse designed to provoke him into playing his most potent card, number 47, in this round. Baku, he reasons, would then place a weaker card against his, intentionally losing the round but forcing Lalo to expend his ace card. Baku's strategy stems from his deduction of Lalo's remaining card values and the realization that he would be disadvantaged in the endgame. As the game progresses, high card numbers grow more powerful as many poker hands, like the straight flush, have already been deployed. If Baku's ace card were to fall against Lalo's, it would considerably weaken Baku's remaining numbers. It's essential to note that an ace card can lose its potency if the required cards have been previously played. Its non-usage can render it useless. Lalo grasps that by using his other cards, he'd fail to create a royal straight flush. Baku plays his number 45, while Lalo counters with 47. Unexpectedly, Lalo only wagers 2 air bios, as opposed to the maximum limit, despite having played his ace card. This move shocks all. The logic behind this action emerges. If Baku loses no more than 5 air bios, he would secure the match with 1 more victory. Given that he'd paid 3 bios for the ante and 2 for the call, he finds himself in this precise situation. Had Lalo staked the maximum 3 bios, Baku would have inevitably folded. Following Lalo's victory, the arena's lights go out. A calamity has unfolded. Both hands have used the Ace of Hearts, resulting in 5 of Baku's remaining bios being depleted. Lalo had foreseen this possibility before betting his 2 bios, effectively obliterating Baku's advantage. The bios now stand at 19 for Lalo and 17 for Baku. Hal endures the agony of impalement. In a fit of rage, Baku slams his hand on the table, only to notice that Hal, the leader of Kakaru, isn't observing the match. He then contemplates the possibility of Hal influencing the game and sends a coded Morse message stating, "Hal, it's 36." Although Fukuru hears the information, Hal, recalling his past with Baku, deciphers the intended meaning to be number 25, altering the numbers from 36. As the 4th round commences, the referee, Noah Shion, unveils the upper floor to the audience. Kaji deciphers that Baku, holding the most formidable card of the round, number 25, must utilize it now to prevent its weakening. They also deduce that Lalo is compelled to play card number 63. Without it, he would lose the final round, as he would lack any valid poker hands that fulfill the sum of 44. It seems inevitable that this round should see Baku's 25 pitted against Lalo's 63. Kaji discerns that even if Baku secures victory in this round, only gaining Lalo's ante, he would lose the subsequent round. By paying Lalo's ante, a 3-air bios gap would form, resulting in Baku's demise. In an unexpected move, Baku chooses card number 26. Baku raises, which is a maneuver that expects Fukuru to make a mistake, prompting Lalo to match with a maximum raise. Baku then folds. Baku's raise must be seen as a seed that made Lalo not suspect the plan that he is having with his last card, which depends entirely on Hal. The bios now stand at 22 for Lalo and 13 for Baku, but with the need to use one for breathing, Baku's count drops to 12. Besides Baku folding, the upper floor round still needs to happen. An error by Fukuru prompts a request for a hand remake. This odd occurrence is due to Hal's intentional mistake, aimed at preserving the straight flush potential of Baku's card number 25. Fukuru corrects his error, producing a valid hand. However, Hal persists in his erroneous ways, leading to his suffering the lethal agony of being shot multiple times. In the decisive 5th round, Baku played card 25 and Lalo card 44. Lalo deliberates on folding to not depend on the mistake of Fukuru, a move that, after paying the ante, would leave them both with 17 air bios each, leading to an endurance battle that he believed he would win since the consumption of air from Baku was higher. However, Lalo opts to call with a single air bios. Baku seized this opportunity and raised it to the limit, depleting his air bios count to 0. Lalo's bet of a single air bios was more than a simple wager. It was a strategic move to scan the situation, seeking independence from Fukuru's potential errors. Lalo believed that his card would win against Baku's card, since he doesn't know about the intentional mistake from Hal. Lalo surmised that if Baku had just matched his call and Fukuru made a mistake, Baku would emerge victorious with a 2 air bios advantage. But Baku's raise triggered a suspicion in Lalo, making him believe that Baku was attempting to make him fold. Lalo then notices the shards of glass from the first round lodged in Baku's air bios, and comes to believe that Baku had concealed his remaining air bios. This convinces him that had he folded, he would have met his end in the endurance battle. He realizes he had stepped onto a trap Baku had set, a strategy referred to as the landmine. His single air bios bet had led him to this revelation, prompting him to match Baku's bet to the limit. This leaves Lalo with 10 remaining air bios, while Baku, apparently out of air, breathes from his spent air bios, in which he was hiding air. Due to Hal's previous purposeful error in the 4th round, a critical card, making Baku's hand the strongest and securing his victory for the round. Fukuru, on the other hand, suffers the excruciating agony of drowning. Baku's strategy was so intricate that even in defeat, Lalo failed to comprehend his missteps, attributing his loss to an alleged error on Fukuru's part. However, in that crucial round, Fukuru was blameless. He had selected the strongest hand possible given the remaining cards, yet the hand Hal meticulously put together proved superior. Lalo stands, triggering the countdown, And as it concludes, Baku is freed but swiftly seized by Lalo. Lalo had believed he could starve Baku of oxygen by holding onto Baku's spent air bios, but Baku had no additional concealed air in the used bios. The only concealed air was in the one bios he used earlier, and thus, Lalo meets his end at the hands of Usogui. Thanks for watching the video. See you in the next one.